Welcome back to Liz and Sandro's Marketing Podcast. We are the podcast that helps companies and marketing departments control their business, their brand, and get the word out. Today, Liz is going to talk about what to do when your content sucks.
That's right. And I'm going to start this off by saying, hey, let's make some assumptions here with this episode. We're going to assume that you are a service-based business that needs to educate your buyers and move them through the sales funnel, the buyer's journey. I do think that some of this could apply to an e-commerce site, but let's keep the focus on service-based businesses.
Yeah, and this isn't like a Mexican restaurant that's looking for tacos or
correct. So
social media posts for tacos,
yes,
things like that.
The content that I'm going to refer to, I'm going to keep it pretty broad, actually. So it could be social media content, but I'm also thinking videos, podcasts, blogs, the
white papers.
Yes, types of content that you're putting a lot of effort into, but again, they're not performing the way you had hoped. So, and that's kind of where I'm going to also jump in and say, hey, like here are some quick signs that your content may not be performing. If you have low conversion rates, which we could do a whole separate episode on conversion rates, but if you're just not converting, if you're seeing a high bounce rate, or if you just have that gut feeling that you're putting out the same mediocre content as everybody else, then yeah, your content might suck. And let's dive in and see how we can fix that. So
an example of this might be, if I want your email address and you give me your email address, I will send you my free PDF on 3 ways to
generate more leads or something.
Generate more leads or to lose weight, 3 ways to lose
Sure.
weight, whatever. And nobody's signing up for that, then maybe your content sucks.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So I've got, let's see, about 6 steps that I'll take everybody through. So step 1. You need to pick up the phone and initiate some very focused conversations with your best customers or clients. Ask them what they're struggling with. What areas of their life or their business are causing them pain? Maybe what's keeping them up at night. Once you really understand what their pain points are, then I think you can actually start to address some of that in your content, which is, again, that's really what content and what marketing is all about, is identifying that pain, touching on it, agitating it, and demonstrating that you are the ideal person to solve that pain. So that's step 1. It's not easy. It's going to take some time, but I really think if you want to produce some great content, you're going to need to have conversations with your best clients and customers and really understand the challenges they're facing. Step 2, we're going to go back to Business 101. Once you have some idea of the challenges your customers are facing, please make sure your product or service actually addresses those pain points, because if it doesn't, then we're just wasting everybody's time and you are throwing up content that, again, is just dismal and no one wants that. So yes, make sure that your product or service really does address their challenges. Step 3, another Business 101, is to make sure that you are very clear about your brand and what you stand for and how you want to communicate. Because if you are a company that's maybe producing some very technical white papers, that's a different tone and a different approach than, let's say, a marketing agency that can maybe have a little bit more fun with their content, with their videos. I think you need to be very clear about, again, who you are as a brand and the voice and the tone that you want to be communicating in. Because I do think that piece right there goes a long way toward content that's interesting and engaging to people. I also think consistency is key. Especially if you have several people writing articles for you or videos, whatever it might be, if you as the business owner, maybe someone in your marketing department, maybe an outsourced individual is writing content for you or creating social media content for you. Again, being very clear about the tone and the voice and bringing some consistency to that, because readers, listeners, they're going to come to expect that. Step 4 is where we finally sit down and actually brainstorm some content around those initial conversations that you had with your clients and customers. Because this is a brainstorming session, I would put all types of ideas on the table. Maybe even taking a step back and considering, hey, should we be blogging? Should we be doing a podcast? Should we put effort into our YouTube channel? I would just put a bunch of ideas on the table and brainstorm many different potential topics or titles. So maybe it's how-to content, maybe it's listicles, like 5 ways to improve your whatever. I would use this brainstorming time to, again, really put any and all ideas on the table. Don't even think about budget or resources, the resources that are necessary to get this going, because you don't want to limit yourself. Yes, as you progress and you really start to work through your strategy and your action plans, you might find that, hey, you know what, with the resources we have right now, let's just stick to blogging because we can't afford to do video the way we want to do it right now. And that's okay. But again, put everything on the table. Don't limit yourself and just see what comes from a really good brainstorming session. Step 5 would be to do some keyword research. If you are going all out on an SEO strategy, this would be the time to then conduct some keyword research and start to understand what phrases can generate more traffic for you. Now, we have done separate episodes on how to do keyword research, so we'll link those in the episode and in the show notes for you. But again, this would be a good time to do some keyword research. And also bear in mind that I don't necessarily think you have to. I think if you are maybe a business that's working an existing subscriber list, or you are a business that's generating a lead list of local companies, and you want to reach out directly to the CFO or the internal marketing department of a company, and you don't really feel like keywords and ranking on Google matters, you might be able to skip this step, although truthfully, it never hurts to do a little bit of keyword research. So that's why I did include it as step 5 here. Step 6 would be once you have all of these plans and strategies in place, is to actually write, record, film, publish, and share all of your great content and start to see how it performs. I don't have a crystal ball, so and I tell clients this, I have no idea if this content is going to resonate. I mean, hey, we've taken these steps. We've really thought through who we're trying to reach and what their challenges are. So we've got a good shot at this really performing well. But truthfully, the only way to know for sure is to start getting it out there. And hopefully you do start to see an increase in your conversion rates, and maybe your bounce rates go down. I mean, set up some metrics for all of this and start to collect the data and see what pieces of content are performing well. A couple episodes ago, Sandro and I did an episode on evergreen content. And we shared in that episode that we were surprised for our podcast to go back and look and understand which pieces of content ultimately have turned into evergreen staple pieces of content for us. We didn't intend for them to be.
Yeah, the episode I've done the most research on, I'm not going to name it, but holy cow, it took me forever to write this and create it, and I'm disappointed it's not one of our best downloaded or most viewed episodes. But then the ones we throw out.
But our Ripple versus Quick episode is still our biggest.
Our number 1 most viewed page, yeah. Which we just thought of that morning, I believe. It didn't take like a week like my episode.
Right.
So you never know what's going to hit. You're right.
Yeah. So yes, start putting out really good content, see what performs, and go from there. I would also recommend that you create different types of content for the different stages of the sales funnel. So you might have some very high level intro content. You might have some content around, hey, here's how to hire a marketing agency or hire a bookkeeper or a plumber, whatever it is. Having different pieces of content as people are making buying decisions, I think is really helpful. Obviously, everything that I've just outlined is not going to happen overnight. I might even say that this is a solid 6 months worth of work when you actually think about identifying your best customers, contacting them, taking good notes, distilling that information, and then brainstorming and producing new content and seeing how it performs. Yeah, that could be a good couple months before you have some good data to work with. But I do think it's time well spent. I think we are living in a world where content still matters. I mean, I hate that phrase, content is king. It's so overused, but we still live in a world where we've got social media, we've got YouTube, we've got websites and blog content that can drive email content. So I do think that content matters, and I think good educational, helpful content can separate your brand from a competitor if you do it right.
Absolutely, Liz. Especially if you're using this content to answer your clients' questions, they're going to think of you as an expert and come to you more often. And Google will give you some authority there too over time.
Yeah, even if you don't go all in on keywords and SEO, I think ultimately you will reap some of the benefits of producing good blog content.
Correct. Thanks so much, Liz. Thanks again. And thank you for listening. If you have any questions, we'd love to hear them. Shoot us an email. Our email address is in the show notes, or you can reach us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We also have a YouTube channel, and you will find us wherever you find your favorite podcasts. If you like what you hear, we'd love a review on iTunes. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.